Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Let me get settled here, and then we'll get going. The guy in that video looked a lot younger. A lot younger. No, I appreciate it. It's an honor to have all of you. With a great start. Okay. Don't look at your wife at these things. You know better. It's an honor to have everybody here today. Appreciate y'all coming, so settle in. I got a couple things I'm going to say. Overwhelmed by the calls and the text. I have not gotten to all of them. I apologize. I will get to them. It'll take some time. Work my way through it. I get rid of, I say get rid of. I get 20 or 30 responded to, and 20 or 30 pop up, and I think that is a testament to this enterprise of what we do in college athletics. It is about relationships, and it is about special, special people. I mean, you've been in it 4.5 decades like I have been. Those relationships are incredibly, incredibly beautiful, and I'm thankful for that. You always hear the phrase, you want to enter humbly and exit well. I'm not sure that I've always embodied that incredibly well, but I've tried to enter humbly, and I want to exit well today. And so that's the goal of what we did today. I met with Bob Russell and John Weiss, two incredible leaders in our Commonwealth, and had an opportunity to visit with them over a period of time, and they had two of obviously the biggest churches in the state of Kentucky and nationally. And they both transitioned in these very, very difficult times and had an opportunity to give me some advice. They said, number one, always make sure your family's aligned. Make sure your family's aligned. And the second thing, always know what's next. And those are two questions that really were difficult for all of us who love college athletics, and we love this place with all of our heart. It's very, very difficult to say, hey, we're all aligned and this is the right thing to do at the right time for us. It was very difficult. And the other piece was, what was next? I never had a piece about what was next, and that was difficult as well. I've seen a lot of folks say, we're going to go do this and we're going to go do that, and it just didn't make sense to me. And so there was a process involved in all of that. Dr. Todd, who is sitting over here, and I'll come back to him in just a little bit, always told me, he says, take care of your people first. He goes, and the right results will follow. He says, take care of your people first, and the right results will follow. And I tried to always keep that in the back of my brain. He told me a lot of things when I first came here because I wasn't a great listener. And so he had to remind me on multiple occasions of some of the things that he needed to tell me. So I'm certainly thankful for that. We're not always perfect. We not always got the people part right. For the most part, we did in this room. There's so many really amazing people that we got it right on more than our share. And I'm thankful for the people in this room and what they've meant to us. I'm going to start really quickly. I'm going to just start with 29 years as an athletic director and 24 here at Kentucky. I've been in college athletics for 44 years. The three words that always were heart and soul to me was to teach, to mentor, and to grow. And that was really important. I wanted to teach, mentor, and grow young people and young coaches. And that was how I wanted to come into this business and stay. And we came to Kentucky for a while. We were going to be here a bit in my mind, and we were going to jump to the next gig. And, it'd be here 6, 8, 10 years and then move on to something else. Well, we came for a while and we stayed for a lifetime because we love the place. It means that much. It's one of the greatest places on earth, and I don't think people understand how special it is until you've lived it and you've been around it. All right, I've been fortunate. I've been an AD for 29 years. I've only had 3 presidents, only 2 here at the University of Kentucky, which is a remarkable, remarkable record. When you look around our league, you look around nationally. I'm so blessed to have been hired by Lee Todd and to have worked for him for 10 years. And I'll never forget the day he walked to my house and told me he was stepping down and as the president. And that was a haunting moment for me. And one of those I thought, oh boy, what's next? And then I've been blessed. I have an Eli Capilouto for the last 14 years. And so to only have 2 presidents in this conference, in this league, is a remarkable bit of leadership at the highest level of higher education as well as our state. This has been a labor of love for my wife and our family. We love it as with all journey, there's mountain highs and there's valleys low. And we've had our share of both, but obviously many more mountain highs than valleys low. And so I think if we hadn't done that, they wouldn't let us stick around all the time. So that's been good. The video we use to capture the Commonwealth we use before our games, many of you see it. We do it. We run it every game, and it's about from Eastern Kentucky to Western Kentucky. It's about the beauty it brings, and I think it's beautiful. The state is so beautiful on so many fronts. And then the horses and the mountains, the fields, and mostly the people. We've fallen in love with the people of this state, and we're thankful that they've embraced us for the last 2.5 decades. All brought together by, as Coach Pope would say, the sacred piece of cloth. And I don't ever really knew that I understood what it meant for the people of this state and how much it meant to the people of this state when I first came here. I got it now. I know that the emotions and the heartbeat of this state runs through this program and through this university. And so we have a great responsibility to that, and I think it's really important. What we also wanted to make sure, and Dr. Todd was so clear from the very beginning, he said every young person matters. And you're going to hear that word a lot today, is the word matters. It matters. Championships mattered. Degrees mattered. Pathways for lives, they mattered. And he wanted to make sure that we were doing that with purpose. So I'm going to transition a little bit to what I would call, I'll throw this down, it's going to be a mess. What I would call the greatest ascent. So if you're familiar, and my climbing buddy, Dion, where's Dion? He's back up there somewhere, here's my guy. Dion and I have been on some of the highest mountains in the world. And I've loved mountain climbing, and people know that. Had an opportunity to scale Rainier a couple times, Mount Rainier out in Washington, Kilimanjaro in Africa, and we've had an opportunity to be on the top of the Grand Teton. Mountain climbing is a unique deal. They all look beautiful from a distance, right? They all look great from a distance. More daunting as you get in the middle of them and you get on the mountain. Requires preparation, attention to detail. The greatest ascent is the journey for me, is serving as athletic director at the University of Kentucky. And that's really been the greatest mountain to climb. A climb is not done solo. At least the meaningful ones are not done solo, and this climb was not done solo in any way, shape, or form. And it always starts with people at base camp. The people at base camp to prepare you and get you ready to go is where it starts. Your preparation, your safety, and your return is base camp. For us, our base camp is family, and it starts with my family, and they're down here on the front row. The place I'll return to after hard days. It's the ones who carried the scars of unseen costs of leadership, the ones who made it possible before it ever started. It is the base camp with our family. I saw with incredible gratitude God's provision and protection for our family at base camp every day. The call to lead always affects those closest to you first, always. And that was no different from what it did for our family. Base camp was where we started. The rope team, climbers on the rope team are roped together. If one falls, they all feel it. They all feel it. My rope team is coaches and staff, and many of them are here today, and I'm thankful for that. I've had a lot of my staff and coaches for a long time. And that's a tribute to you all as a place at the University of Kentucky. It's a tribute to them and their heartbeat for this place and how much it means to them. It is a group that worked together for shared risk. You don't get into these jobs without shared risk. It is hard. They put their necks on the line in a very unique way, public way, in the arena, for whatever that means. Shared risk, shared pressure. There's pressure. I don't care what sport you're in. Everybody wants to make the most of a couple sports. They have pressure. Shared scrutiny. The scrutiny's real. It is real. And they share that together in the room as head coaches or in the room as staff, and the things that they be put on public display. That's shared, and it's hard. Teddy Roosevelt wrote the thing. It's my favorite piece of poetry, whatever you want to call it. It's called In the Arena. We've all seen it. We've had it up in the hallways around here. I keep it on my desk, and a piece on my desk. In the arena. It is the man or the woman in the arena that is most affected by what goes on a daily basis. It's easy to poke at the folks that are in the arena, isn't it? It really is. But those folks that are in the arena and they're living it, it's a different deal. It is a different deal. Culture is built through trust. It is built through trust. Excellence requires mutual accountability. Teaching and guiding and leading through hearts and actions, not be words or in the shadows. It has to be public. And you have to do that the right way. To teach and guide and lead is really, really hard. It is your heart and your actions that matter. They matter. I want to say thank you to a collection of the greatest staff and coaches in the country and the greatest in this department's ever seen in the history of the program. So my absolute thanks to all of you for what you do to represent Kentucky and the way you've handled the platform that we've been given in the arena. The mountain is the reason for the climb. They always ask climbers, hey, why'd you climb the mountain? And the reply from a couple of them that climbed Everest, well, it's there. It was there. I climbed it because it was there. No climber ascends just to conquer terrain. Climb for meaning, growth, and perspective is what they do. That's why they climb. Student athletes, a few of them are here. Thanks for coming. Coach made you come, didn't he? Thanks for coming. You're the reason for the climb. Climb matters. They all matter. They all matter. Their growth, their fight, their resilience, their character, their sacrifice, their hearts, their minds, their lives define success. Wins mattered. People mattered more. Our 5 principles, and I'm going to hit them, I could ask one of the volleyball players, stand up and give me the 5 principles. I'll bet they could get 3 or 4 of them. Asia's looking to the ground like, don't call on me. Don't call on me. Integrity of the character of the heart, integrity of the brain. Great stewards, knowledge, education, be great stewards of what you've been given, and compete with all your heart. Let the wins and losses fall where they may. We do those 5 things in order, we'll do unbelievable things, and we have. And they've been the heartbeat of what we've done. And we go to that, and they will tell you, team meetings every time. We start with that, and we finish with that every year. To our student athletes, we always challenged you, always love you. I want you to know that. The guides and the map makers, university leadership, climbers all rely on guides and maps, wisdom beyond ourselves. I've had 3 presidents in 29 years as an AD. The toughest president I ever had was a guy named Paul Risser. Had his arm amputated on a Thursday or Friday and was at football practice 2 days later. Tough man. Tough man. His wife, Les, and Paul passed away, but one of the toughest men I've ever been around in my life. He taught me toughness in the leadership role. Not just mental toughness, but physical toughness of what it meant to be tough. Lee Todd, unbelievable. He taught me how it was to get through adversity, because we inherited some rough times, Coach, didn't we? It was not easy. And he put up with some things early on that we were having some learning curves as being an athletic director. Mark remembers, I was really good. One of the original 5, Mark had he had some thoughts about how I started. And we're still friends. And we're still friends. It's hard. Lee and Patsy, thank you. Appreciate it. You've been blessings to us. And Eli and Mary Lynn, so I'm thankful for them for 14 years of stability in leading our university. And we are just very fortunate to have stability in the leadership roles. And as I look around the landscape, it's so difficult to do that in today's world. The Board of Trustees, Britt Brockman, just has been a leader in our trustee room for so long. And amazing donors and folks that have supported our program are here today. And I thank you for just being the guides and the map makers for us as we try to get through this journey. You provided us trust and alignment. You gave us room to lead with conviction. And when we got it wrong or we got it off course, you helped us. You didn't throw us to the wolves. And it would have been real easy to throw us to the wolves. And boy, I know we haven't gotten it right sometimes. We're reminded of that on a fairly regular basis in the new world of blogs and clicks and all that stuff. We get told that a lot. But at the end of the day, you helped us. And that means a lot. You get us back on our path. You didn't turn your back on us, and you didn't quit on us. As Lee Todd said, when in doubt, Mitch, work. Go back to work. And I did. I remember sitting in Maxwell Place over there one night, and it wasn't a good night. It was a dark night. And that was his advice. Man, quit worrying about stuff. Just go work. Just go to work. And he did. That's how he built his companies and how he did what he did. And so successfully. I was appreciative of that. I'm thankful to the people who have had the courage to work through tough times and conversations. Walking together on the path up the mountain. Blessed by that at Kentucky for 24 years, I know that will be the heart as we climb forward and we keep going. The mountain range, the SEC, no peak stands above its own, stands alone. It exists with a range that shapes its difficulty. The beauty of it is amazing, and so it is with the SEC. Southeastern Conference sharpens standards. It forces to constantly grow. You can't stand still. Will Stein, I see Will over here. Will said, man, you got to adapt and grow. And we have to adapt and grow if we want to be successful in this league. It elevates competition and excellence. Forces us to think that way. Iron sharpens iron, as the Proverbs say. Greatness is forged in the challenge. And I'm thankful for the great friendships of our league. I had the unbelievable blessing to work with Mike Sly before he passed away. But then I've had the unbelievable honor to have Greg Sankey be a dear, dear friend of mine for 22 years. And his wife, Kathy. And Charlie Hussey in the Southeastern Conference, who I work so closely with on a lot of fronts, and his wife, Lindsay. Amazing friends. And man, what a journey it's been with them. And to be able to be in that leadership room with those folks has been a blessing. Having worked with them for all of the years, I'm thankful for all they do. I don't think everybody understands how hard the job they have to keep 16 very, very low ego institutions happy. It's just so easy. Then there's the weather and the wind. When you're climbing, you deal with the weather and the wind, and that's the BBN. Weather can be beautiful, it can be unpredictable, or it can be brutal. It can be all of the above, and that's the beauty of the BBN. It always reminds you that the climb matters. It matters to them. That's why they care so much, and that's why they're also the best fans. They bring passion, they bring energy, they bring accountability. Understand all of that. They made the climb visible and real and meaningful. It mattered to them, therefore it must matter to us. It must. They cared deeply because they believed deeply. No one better than the BBN. Everywhere we go, border to border, all over the place. Coast to coast, international, not a day goes by where someone will walk up and say, I'm a wildcat. Can I take a picture? Can I talk to you about the cats? It's awesome stuff. BBN's incredible. I'm thankful. The summit, when you get to the top, it's faith without apology. I have no apology for my faith at all in any way, shape, or form. I'm not doing that. Climbers don't boast, they reflect. Strength is borrowed, not owned. Your perspective is a gift. Every climb in life, athletics teaches humility. It teaches humility. Micah 6:8 is my favorite verse. It says, He has shown you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, love mercy, grace, a little bit of grace, and to walk humbly with your God. Every climb brings a humility. Either you have it or you will find it. I believe every good climb, every good gift, and every opportunity to lead comes from God. And I've seen His goodness through people at every step of this journey. Every step of this journey. His provision, His protection have guided us, and I'm thankful for that. Without it, no chance we make it 24 years. It is His provision for us and His protection of our family and the prayers that people have prayed over our family for years. So I'm thankful for that. The final descent. You're up the top, now it's time to head down. Strong leaders don't end at the summit. They never do. They look outward and they look downward. More to do. More to teach. More to mentor. More to grow. Leaders to find. Leaders to plant and leaders to support. I'm not done. It has to matter. The climb matters. It matters. To those ascending, climbing, keep going. When we climbed Keeley, there's an old phrase. Was it Dion? Poli, poli, poli. Slowly, 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 one step at a time, just keep climbing. That's all we did. About died, but we made it. Thank goodness we made it down. Poli, poli, poli. Just keep going. For my staff, unbelievable. If I started, I would leave somebody out. I'd hurt somebody's feelings, or I'd mess something up. So I'm going to say you're the best. My executive team, incredible. Senior staff, every person that puts on events around here, the hours they put in, incredible. Absolutely incredible. To my executive assistant, Shelley, I don't know where Shelley is. I'm not going to look at her either. I'm not sure you understand. Everybody says she's a gatekeeper, right? She's the gatekeeper. Do you understand how many emails, how many wonderful voicemails, how many fabulous text messages she has gotten from some really pleasant people with language that is so beautiful, not toxic, no venom? When you're on the men's basketball committee and you leave a cross-state rival out of the tournament and they think it's your fault. Or the CFP doesn't quite go a school's way and it gets a little dicey, like a lot dicey. Or just maybe you didn't win enough games in the last 2 or 3 weeks and it gets a little interesting. She takes it and listens and has to wash it from her memory and then move on to the next deal. You talk about being on the front line, stinking hard. Sometimes I don't ever even hear it. Don't ever see it. I'm thankful for that. So Shell, I don't know where you are, but thank you, Shelley. Appreciate you. Then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the tall man, Doug Dickey. Most of you don't know, I was at SMU, 1986. Our program sort of had some problems. The media's laughing. Most of you youngsters don't even know what happened. I was probably without a career. The whole thing was shutting down. NCAA was shutting it down. And this tall old football coach at Tennessee took a chance on a young guy that was just trying to salvage his career. And if it wasn't for him, I'm not sitting here today. I owe Doug Dickey almost everything. So Doug, hope you hear this. Love you. Thank you. You're the best. And I lived with that guy was awesome for 12 years. And he taught me everything. And for all of us that ever knew him and worked for him, never blinked. He never blinked. Learned that from him. Probably blinked a couple times, but not like him. Out of that group, a bunch of folks had an opportunity to go lead programs. To my man on the West Coast, Bobby DeCarolis, Bobby D, was my deputy at Oregon State. And boy, we fought some battles and we did some stuff. Financially, not easy. He was the best. So I love him. The late Mike Hamilton was my assistant at Tennessee. And Mike passed away a couple years back. AD at Tennessee for a while. Rob Mullins, Mark Coyle, Scott Strickland, Dwayne Peavy, Greg Byrne, Kevin Saul, John Cohen, all cut their teeth here. They're all my guys. Now I'm so proud of them, man, all of them. What they have accomplished and what they've done and how they've represented themselves. Those are the leaders we're trying to build and we're trying to grow. Super, super important. A couple more things. My family, this is where base camp, we got down and off the mountain, we're back to base camp. Kirby and Mac, Cooper, Reese, Gunner. Blair and Andrew, Teddy and Ben. Teddy's getting a snack, man. I like that. What's up, buddy? Scott and Cass. Scott and Cassie, Riley, Brooks, and Ella. Everybody's eating. My brother Eric, who's in Norman, Oklahoma, he was in this business for a long time, and man, if he's watching, you know how much I love you, man. You're amazing. And then my partner for 44 years. Not enough words. I could start with sacrificial, integrity, caring, loving, tough, respecting, wife, mom, friend, Bible mentor, life mentor to young women. She owns a quadruple platinum Hallmark card membership. Most of you have been on the receiving ends of her cards somewhere along the way. Never get that money back. She goes to all the games when I'm not even around. Unbelievable home she creates for me to come home to. Amazing, amazing woman. So thank you for 44 great years. More to do. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank, in really a difficult way, our moms and dads. Connie lost her mom when she was 10. I lost my dad when I was 11. Our parents that remained, her dad and my mom, raised us by themselves in a time when that wasn't the coolest thing to do. It was hard. And we weren't blessed with all the resources, but they made it work, and they allowed us to have two things, love and education, man, and they made sure that we had enough. So I'm super thankful for that. My mom died at 87 years old, still working a job, still ran a food pantry, was trying to be on the city council. Yeah, it was funny. My stepdad, still living at 97, just quit his job 6 months ago. Let that sink in. He's still working. We sort of come from a family of work. They taught us how to work. Connie's dad was a farmer, and he worked. So that's in our DNA. We started both working jobs when we were 11 years old. So that's what we know. We will continue to work. With that, I'll probably stop for just a minute, take a breath and a drink, take a few questions. And if I don't like them, no, I'm just kidding. But we'll do that, and then we'll try and wrap this up and let everybody get on about their business.
Okay, here we are. We did discover something. There are 5 media members who were here for Mitch's introductory news conference back in 2002. Let's see, Keith Taylor and Daryl Bird, Mark Story, Dick Gabriel, and Steve Moss there in the back. So we decided to let those guys have the honor of the first questions if y'all have one. Mark, you got one?
Mitch, in regard to your new position, what interested you about that? What will your responsibilities do, and what are your goals?
Yeah, so in mid-December, President Capilouto came and talked to me, and he said, I know you've got this ambassador clause in your contract. No one's really sure what that means. We're not sure what that means, and sort of tried to get your feel for where you think your heartbeat is for your career. And after 24 years, you begin to think about the what's next, and I really hadn't been able to get my arms wrapped around any of that. So he would on a weekly cadence or about 10 days, he would get us together and just talk and say, what matters to you? And I was reading a book called Living Life Backwards. It's a fabulous book, and I'm not endorsing books or anything like that, but if you want to read it, it's pretty good. And it talks about how you try and find meaning and purpose to your life and living it backwards. And so the word matters was important to me. I wanted to find something that mattered. And he came back to me and said, we're working through these workforce initiatives in different parts of the campus. Would you be interested in having a sports initiative on that pathway? And I'm trying to define what that is, and we're obviously going to have to build that from the ground up. And in some respects, there's some things in place, and be able to work on that. But the position is no longer ambassador, and so it reframed where we are. So the job was a little ambiguous as an ambassador, and then I think what he did was he put pen to paper and gave it some clear direction as to what we're trying to do and be a part of the workforce initiative to create jobs and to get young people on a path. And I will tell you, I get 20 to 30 resumes a week, or not a week, in a month, about people wanting to get into the enterprise of sports, but they don't know how to do it. They think just walking out of here with a degree that they're ready to go, they can tackle, I can do marketing. I've got a marketing degree. They don't even know what that means in the world of sports. They have no idea what it means to be operations in sports. They don't know what it means. I've got the experts here. These folks are experts, and they have worked it and they've done it. So how do you teach that? And so when people come out, they're ready, and now they've got a pathway, they've got a real job, and they're working at it. So that excites me to teach, mentor, and grow. That's what I want to do. So I think where there'll be pieces that are in place that we can augment, and then there's pieces that we're going to build from the ground up. And I think that's important. So I'm going to do part of that. I've raised a little money since we've been here at this university. We're with my staff, the most remarkable fundraising staff ever. We've raised literally hundreds of millions of dollars. So I think we can help in that area too. And I've told the president I want to help with that. And Jake Lemon's over here. Jake's the director of philanthropy, vice president for philanthropy here, and I want to help with whatever helps the university. So I don't, as I highlighted just a little bit ago, all I've ever done in my life is work. So this notion that this golden parachute is falling from the ceiling and I'm going to sit in the rocking chair and eat hay is ridiculous garbage. And that notion that started by some couple, 2 or 3 knuckleheads needs to end. I'm excited about working. I'm not done. That's why I asked for a couple of years to go, so I could work longer and have purpose to what I'm doing in my journey. I like being active. And so that's a big part of what I want to do. So in a nutshell, I have some sense of where we're going to go and how we're going to do it. But building, sometimes you get into it and you figure out how to build after that and you go. And I'm going to do that.
Yeah, Mitch, I think we've had the conversation the last 5 or 6 years about when you might retire.
Yep.
Why now, and what got you to the point where you were at complete peace with it and wake up in the morning and not be a little panicked?
I think a couple things. One, those 8 little ones over here, if you had 8 were as good as those 8, you'd want to spend more time with them. And I want to. They've earned that just by being here. And they're all here local. I got them all around me. So it's awesome. It's awesome. I'd start with that. Number 2, Connie and I could never, we were not, and I will say this, we weren't aligned in our thoughts and trying to get to we weren't in the same space in terms of trying to make sure that we were thinking through it the right way. For a lot of reasons. There's all sorts of reasons. And I thought Bob Russell's advice to be aligned was really, really important. And so I wanted to do that. And we finally got to a spot where we had conversations about what was important. Number 2, what was next? I had no what's next. I couldn't get my arms around what was next. And Dr. Capilouto gave me an opportunity to figure out what was next. And I had a pathway to do that. There's one of my favorite, and I'm going to use this analogy. If you'll remember about, I want to say 3 seasons ago, our track team went to Eugene, and we ran the greatest 4x400 I've ever seen run. The first 2 laps, Kentucky was a half lap down, and the baton was passed to one Abby Steiner. And Abby took off, and not only did she catch up, but she lapped the field, and she gave us about a quarter of a lap lead. And then she handed the baton to Alexis Holmes, and Alexis Holmes took off and finished the race, and we won the race. Why is that important? 2 reasons. It's sort of what we had here. We inherited being a half lap down, didn't we, Doc? Yeah, he's chuckling. We were at least a half lap down. And this staff made it possible for us to catch the leaders, where we've won 60 some odd championships, more things to celebrate than this institution's ever seen. but it was time to hand the baton to someone, let them finish the race. That was important. And I felt at peace with that for the first time in a while. Fast forward to a week ago Tuesday. We go play at South Carolina in basketball. I'm down there before the game, and I hear this woman yelling my name, Mr. Barnhart, Mr. Barnhart. And I see two people coming down the stairs in their Letterman's jacket, and it was Abby Steiner. I said, well, God was winking at me and telling me, figure it out, dude. It's time. Yeah, dude. It's time. I got it. He winked at me and said, it's right. And that wasn't some coincidence. Come on, better than that. I believe that. I believe there's confirmation in a lot of different ways. So that was the timing. Keith?
Hey, Mitch, how much have you relied on your faith in the last 24 years, especially in the beginning, coming to a program where it was and where it is now?
There's nothing that gets us through without that. The support system of our church, the people of our church, our pastors, the waking up every morning to my wife's insistence early on, and then the rhythm of waking up every morning and spending time in the Word was the only thing that got us through. And I'll come back to that later on in this conversation. But our faith and the people that poured into us and prayed over us, I will never, ever be able to repay that. And I'm thankful that God provided and protected our family. That's the only way we made it. It was not us. We had nothing to do with it. We showed up, and He provided.
Mitch, I was not here in 2002, but I'm asking on behalf of Steve Moss in the back.
All right, it's a what do they call it? You know,
I was in college in 2002. For the record.
Thank you for not saying you weren't born in
Yes,
2002,
yes,
because I got a lot of those as well.
Since arriving at Kentucky to now, the job description, I'm sure, of an athletics director has changed quite a bit. How would you describe the role of an athletics director when you started compared to how it is now?
I think what has happened is the pace at which the enterprise has grown has stretched resources, people, the capacity of time. Is really difficult. You're stretched a lot of ways, thin. And so that, coupled with the incredible intensity of the focus, with the advent of social media and the moment by moment news breaking things that occur, has changed the entire landscape. Then you get into legislation, litigation. I'm not going to get into any of that today. There's not enough time. It's highly complex, and it ratchets itself all the way across multiple spectrums. The ability to compete, teach, mentor, and grow is as important today as it ever was. That's the only way you're going to win. See, the one thing that AI can't take, the one thing that technology can't take, the one thing that all the stuff you can punch into a keyboard can't take, is what these coaches manufacture in a locker room. You cannot put that in a heart. It won't beat. It won't beat. So absolutely critical mass that we understand what it takes to move the heart of people. And that's what these coaches are challenged to do. That's why their job's moderately secure. And that is the one thing that technology can't replace, is how you deal with passion, emotion, leading, encouraging people to do their work. You can't. So where we used to worry about competing 75% of the time, run 25% of the business, I've made that comment before. It's a little bit reversed for those in the athletic director's chair, but it can't be for them. They've got to take best information that they can get their hands on and find a way to put that into the puzzle and get someone's heart to tick for the passion of the program. And that's what's changed.
Mitch, this may sound like hyperbole, but I think I've been around here longer than anybody. This is the most, given NIL, portal, you just talked about legislation, injunctions, this and that, lawsuits. This is the most chaotic period in the history of college athletics. Mm-hmm. Did that factor at all into your decision either way, hanging on because the sport needs old heads like you, with all due respect, or is it time to step aside and let the new blood try to get through this period?
That didn't factor into it. The climate wasn't. We've been aggressive in all of that area. I'm not worried about that. We've worked really, really hard. Our staff, our fundraising staff, and our coaches have worked really, really hard in that landscape. So that's not. It is complex. That this issue is not going to whatever. And I'm not going to get deep into that today. I don't want to do that. And that I want to celebrate a little bit and not be. But yeah, we've been a part of all. Our staff has done an amazing job of working their way through all of those issues. This is an issue that's got to have a solution in the next, little while. But I'm not sure you can get there in the next couple of years. It's going to take a bit, and it's going to take some incredible work on a lot of people's part. I want to prepare some of those folks, the leaders that we've got coming into this thing, some of the folks that are going to work at it. If we don't have a pretty good pipeline for that coming in, it's going to be. There's some really good people who I have much, much respect for that also are saying, you know what, I'm going to do a couple other different things in my world. And so it's important that we backstop that with people coming in on the other side. So a couple more and I'm going to call it CL.
Mitch, I'm going to kind of piggyback off of that question. Aside from the changes in college athletics outside of this program, the Integrate Blue is possibly going to change things within it. I was curious if that at all played a factor in your decision, and how might things be different for your replacement, just in terms of how the athletic department will be run through Integrate Blue? Yeah,
I think that the president will have to answer some of that, but I do believe that it's going to change. I mean, and we've got to be able to adapt. And the one thing I think that you've seen some plans, right? You've seen some plans that talk about, multi-use district and things like that, and how do we create new revenue streams for our program that allow us to have the infusion. We're out of the normal 5 buckets of tickets and fundraising and major contracts and multimedia agreements and your conference revenue sharing and those kind of things. How do you do more than those normal 5 buckets? Well, we've got to be creative, and the LLC gives us some of those opportunities, and so that's important, yes. Again, it goes back to what ends up supporting the ability for us to do what? Graduate our young people and compete like crazy. And if we can find a way to spin the wheel a little faster from a revenue perspective, it gives us more opportunity to do that. So I'm hoping the LLC is part of that. It's just a reframing or restructuring of things. It doesn't mean necessarily that we've changed our business completely. We're trying to add things to the model. I think it's probably a better way of looking at it. Make sense? John.
Mitch, as you talk about handing the baton off, what do you envision for your role moving forward in either helping pick your successor or provide advice or whatever you want to do moving down the line?
I'm not going to pick my successor. That is not my role. This is the university's search, and I will not be involved in it. If they ask my advice or ask for my opinion, I'm glad to give it, but this is the president's search, and it is his search. In terms of being around, I was always appreciative when I got advice. I should have listened to some other advice when I first came here. People gave me advice. I'm smarter than that. I got this. And I made some mistakes. I'll sit to the side, and if people want my advice, I am glad to help. But this is going to be their program, not mine. I don't think this institution, and there'll be a lot of people are going to go, oh, great, I'm glad he said that. They don't need Mitch Barnhart 2.0. They don't. They need their own version of what's best for them and what they think is best for this program, and I'm good with that. I want what's best for Kentucky. I love this place. Love this place. I love the athletes that were here. I love the coaches that are going to remain. I hired all of them, except Harry. Harry's been here longer than anybody. Harry, I didn't hire you. I sort of did. I got you into the full-time status, coach. They're my coaches. I want them to be successful. And if making a change in what I've done or how I've done it, and I didn't like the way I did, change it. It's okay. I'm unoffendable. It doesn't bother me. That's okay. I've taken enough shots. I think I can handle that. We're okay. So, no, I'm not going to be involved in that. That's their deal. But if they want my advice, I'm glad to give it. I just want to teach young people at this point in time. Last one.
Mitch, I know your faith is paramount, and you quoted some of your favorite verses today. Do you feel in your own right you can walk away from this with well done, good and faithful servant?
You know, I think that that's not mine to judge. I hope that's what he'll say. I hope that's what he'll say. Not mine to judge. Yep. Closing comment. 2016, September 2016. We're at Florida. We get our absolute head handed to us. We got a few problems on the sideline. The locker room's a train wreck. It's not the greatest of scenes. Coach is not in a great spot. Folks are a little unhappy with where we are. And we get home, and we go to church the next morning. It's difficult because we got home at 3 in the morning, and you get up and go to church. And for the most part, everybody's really good that morning there. You know, hey, hang in there, keep going, stuff like that. It's all good. But we know the pulse. We know the pulse. I sit down and we go through church, and my phone beeps at the end of the service, and I get a text, and it's from my son who's at school at Belmont, and I'm going to read it to you because it embodies our family, and it gives you an idea of why it's base camp. It says, "Hey, Dad, I know you're about to walk into church. I just wanted to share something with you this morning. I was thinking about you last night and this morning. Obviously, you're hurting, tired, frustrated, discouraged, and beaten up about the past couple of weeks. One thought and theme continued to come to mind as I did my quiet time this morning. It was the concept of preparing for rain. You've heard this many times, I'm sure, but I just wanted to encourage you to keep preparing for rain. You've been putting in work to prepare for rain for a long time, and you can't stop now. I know you won't stop because that's not who you are. God's people are blessed when they continue to prepare for his blessings, even when it seems impossible. Noah continued to build the ark. Moses continued to approach Pharaoh. Joshua continued to march around Jericho. Gideon continued on even though his army continued to shrink in numbers, and the list goes on of people who continued to keep, quote unquote, preparing for rain despite everyone else around them who called them incapable, foolish, and crazy. They knew that God kept calling them to keep preparing for his plan and his blessings. You have prepared for rain long before you built a stadium and practice facilities, and you have constantly believed that rain will come. Keep preparing and keep believing. I refuse to believe that God will let his people continue to prepare for rain in his name and then not provide it. So I'm going to keep on praying. My prayer for you is that you keep believing, keep preparing, and keep praying for rain, because I believe that when the time comes for God to let it rain, he's going to let it pour. I love you, Dad. Have a good day." That's the family mantra, prepare for rain. And you've seen it around on our stuff, and we're going to live it. We're going to keep living it. We're going to keep waiting for God's blessings to continue to pour over this program. I believe that with all my heart. I love this place. Love you all. God bless. Thanks. Go Cats.